Hey guys, Carl from Purple Moose Place. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Mechanical Beast from designer Ben Morayta and publisher Sideroom Games. This game was actually entered by Ben Morayta in the BGG 2019 solo print and play contest and actually ended up walking away with the top honors in that contest. This is a tile-laying spatial puzzler of a game in which you find yourself cooperatively working with your team, going into the belly of a malfunctioning mechanical beast to get to the control room, shut it down, and ultimately save all of the people inside and escape before the whole thing comes crumbling down. This is primarily a co-op game that does offer a solo mode, but can also be played semi-co-op and competitively as well. This being a solo channel, I will be showing you a solo playthrough of the game. But before we do that, I should mention here that I was given a review copy of this game from the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to offer my own opinions on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this plays as a solo game, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a game of Mechanical Beast, you're going to first assemble this tile tower. I've already done that. I'm going to set it up here in the corner. For now, we may have to move things around as we play, but that's how we will start. From the tiles, you are then going to find this starting entrance tile, which is double-sided, open and close. This is the only double-sided tile. The emergency exit tile, you'll see that is an exit, but on the other side is not double-sided. This lockdown tile, and then finally this control room tile. So set those four aside. And then from the remaining tiles, we're going to take out 14 tiles. And those will get placed to the side. You'll see why in just a minute. Now for this playthrough, I will be playing on the normal difficulty level, which means in the normal difficulty level, we will not be using the emergency exit. So the emergency exit can get returned to the box. We're then going to take the remaining tiles after removing those 14, and we're going to split them into 3 somewhat even piles. And then now that we're done that, we can go ahead and set up the sort of tile supply for the game. And to do that, we're going to take one of these sets of 1/3 of the tiles, stick that in the bottom of the tower. We'll then take 7 of the 14 tiles that we removed earlier. And inside those 7 tiles, we're going to mix in the lockdown tile. So that gets mixed in there. We'll give those a good shuffle. And that stack of 7 plus lockdown shuffled gets put on top of that first 1/3 of the tiles. On top of that, we'll then stick the next 1/3 of tiles. And into the remaining 7 here, we're going to take that control room tile, stick that in here, and give those a shuffle as well. That gets placed on top of that stack. And then finally, the remaining 1/3 of the tiles gets placed on top of our tile tower. Then finally, to complete setup, we are going to take that exit or entrance in this case and set that in the center of the play area. Now, you'll see we are going to be expanding out from this entrance. I'll do my best to expand more horizontally than vertically to fit it in the screen, but if I can't, we may have to change the positioning of the camera or the zoom level to see a little bit more of different areas of the table depending on how this grows. Once the entrance has been placed out on the table, we're going to take one engineer pawn or meeple for each player. In this case, we are playing solo, so we are going to use one. I'm going to be playing with the blue character this time. And in addition to that player piece, we'll also always be using this android or this sort of AI-based robot character that joins you as well. The game also comes with these handy player guides. I've played this game enough now that I sort of already know the information that's on here, and it doesn't really fit on my screen for this playthrough, so for now we're just going to leave this off to the side, and if I need to refer to it for any reason, I'll bring it back in. Also off screen is this pile of meeples, and I will explain how those come into play later, but they're not going to be on screen because they don't need to be until they come into play. So in Mechanical Beast, the Mechanical Beast was originally designed for good, and it has gone haywire. So it is our job to go in as the engineer and the android, as we have done here, explore the Mechanical Beast to find the control room so that we can shut the Mechanical Beast down. And then once the Mechanical Beast has been shut down, it will start collapsing, and at which point we have to make it back to this entrance, in that case an exit, to escape, saving people along the way as we evacuate the mechanical beast. And if we are able to make it back to the exit and have saved everybody along the way, we will have successfully beaten the game. Now it's worth mentioning, the only person that can activate the control room is the engineer. The android is not able to do that. Otherwise, they both can explore, they both can save people. And ultimately, the only one that needs to escape is the engineer, because that is the human character. And if we lose the android, that's sad, but it is a robot and can be remade. So while we would be losing the android, we would still be winning the game. It would just sort of be a lesser win. So I will try my best to make it out with both of them, but if I can make it out with the engineer and there are no people left to be saved in the mechanical beast, I will have won the game. On a turn, we can choose to either move the engineer or the android as many spaces as we want to through open doors. And I'll explain more about that as we start revealing tiles and what the different tiles do. And then whether we've moved or not, that is an optional move, we will then choose one of two actions. And that will be either to explore a new room through an open doorway. And if we explore a room, we will instantly be moved into that room. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. Or instead of exploring a room, we can activate one of the gears or machines in the mechanical beast, sort of manipulating the tiles or the layout of the beast, helping us to create paths again to get into the center, to get those people out, and ultimately to make it back to this exit to escape. Beyond that, I think it's easier if I show you the rules as we play rather than trying to explain things to you before you've seen anything. All right, so let's start. Our first turn, we can't really do anything about moving because there's nowhere for us to move, so we're simply going to explore. And I will begin exploring with my engineer, and let's say we're going to the right. To explore, we simply take a tile, the top tile from the tower, and we orient the tile such that the doorway with the arrow is connected to the doorway that we are coming from. Now, this tile you will see has one of our first gears. This gear is going to allow us, when activated, to move that horizontally through the row that it is placed into. And you'll see how that works hopefully later on as we get into play. But again, when I've explored a tile, I then must move my character or my pawn for whichever one I've chosen to activate with that turn into the room that's been revealed. So that is the end of the first turn. All right, next, I'm going to, I think for now I'm going to sort of expand a little bit out around. And if they're not together to begin with, that's fine. We can find a way to get them back together again. Just again, remembering that only the engineer can activate the control room. So when I start getting down towards the bottom third, sorry, the bottom of the first third of the tower, I will pay more attention to have the engineer exploring more so that they're the one who finds the control room when needed. All right, then let's explore up with the android. I will take a tile. All right, so here is our first locked door. So you'll see that the arrow is connected to the locked door, which means I can go through there now because I explored, so I must move into this tile. But once I've moved into this room, this door has locked behind me, so I cannot go back through it again, and I will need to go in other directions. Now this gear is a linear gear, and what that's going to do is it's going to let me move any tiles that are in this row sort of above this tile, left or right, sliding them along. And you'll see when I start manipulating these things how that works. But again, we place that where I said I was going, and we must move through that door. So again, he cannot come back down into the entrance room from that location. Also, anytime we draw a tile that has a locked door on it, you will also see a person in the room. These are the people that we're going to need to save on the way out. And we cannot start saving them until after we've activated the control room and things start collapsing. And these will also only be placed until we've activated the control room. Once the control room has been activated, we will no longer place out any more of these that we find along the way. But for right now, because that piece is there, I will place one white meeple in that room with my robot. It's also worth mentioning, and I haven't activated any gears yet, and I'll remind you of this when we get there. Anytime we activate a gear, I'm going to sort of stand up the character or the piece that's activated that gear. And once that's happened, that means that piece cannot activate that gear again without first leaving the room and coming back again. All right, then I'm going to have the android explore to the right. Maybe we can get them to connect. Let's see what happens. All right, unfortunately not. That's going to go there, blocking off here, but the android moves into that room like that. All right, then the android is going to move back into this room and explore the other way. Maybe we can connect the loop here. All right, so we've got another locked door, which means another person gets spawned. Here's another one of our gears. And what this gear is going to do is the 4 tiles that are in this square will sort of rotate around that gear. And you'll see again how that works as we get into it. Also notice, this is a glass door. On the easy mode, you can walk through the glass doors as if they were open. But in the normal mode that we are playing right now, these basically function the same as the locked doors. So we will not be able to go down through there either, which kind of means now that I have separated both the robot and the engineer pretty good, unless I can find ways to manipulate these tiles moving through. So the robot must move into there from the explore. I cannot go back again. I cannot explore down. I will place this gray meeple or person inside that room, so we need to save them later. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to explore with the robot this way. And if there's something that has a path going out that way, I can activate that gear and rotate so that we can go down and potentially connect back into there. So let's see what happens. All right, of course, we get another locked door, but another rotation gear. So the robot moves into there. We place another white figure there. But now I can come back down and hopefully connect back in. So let's see if we keep doing that, if that can happen. Next tile I'm exploring down is yet again a locked door, which is going to be okay for now, but we're going to have some problems when we have to backtrack to collect all of these people as the robot starts collapsing. Or sorry, the mechanical beast starts collapsing. So again, another person in that room, like that. And now is when I might want to start thinking about rotation of things. Because I'd love to get over there. I can't go back anywhere that I've been, which is right now a pretty not great thing. But, no, that doesn't really help at the moment. All right, so what I am going to do is I'm going to activate this gear here. And by doing so, this room rotates around that gear, so it is now in this space right here. And we'll fix that and make it match as soon as I fill in some tiles. But what that means is now on my next turn, I'm going to have this robot explore up there. And that didn't really work out for me. All right, so this is going here. I must move to there. We place another guy on the board. And here's another one of those linear gears. So I could activate that gear to slide this row up and down, but for right now, that's not doing me any good. And this guy is kind of trapped, except that he can sort of run around other places. So let's move back here and start doing some exploring with the engineer. We're going to explore left from this exit room. All right, that's not horrible, because that's going to give me some sort of possibility to catch back up with that android, because this is that sort of horizontal moving gear that I showed you before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand him up. Well, we'll stand him up in a minute. But I'm activating that gear, and that gear can move left and right. And every time it moves through something, it would sort of shift through that thing. So if it moved here, that shifts here, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. So the robot now is shifting there, and this spot is taking its spot there. So now he is standing up to show me that that has been activated. But now we are sort of back together again, which is a pretty good thing to happen. It doesn't mean that we're in a good position for all of these people, but we'll start paying a little bit more attention to that once we get the control room built and ready to go. All right, then I am going to explore left with the engineer again. We got another locked door, so we are split up again. Engineer goes there. We place out one more person. Then, yeah, why not? Just to keep them all together. Do I care right now? I don't really care right now. I was going to say I could put him, yeah, let's do it. Put him there and activate that gear, which again does the same thing we just did a second ago. This one comes here, this one comes here. And he's standing there. Because now this is connected into here, which means we can start rotating things again if wanted, which is not a bad idea. Before we start doing that, yeah, why not? Okay, I'm going to come down to this room and activate that rotation gear, which means these 4 tiles are going to rotate like this around that axis. And then they will fill back into this space like this. So now we have a path back into here, and we could potentially get around into other things. Now you'll notice now that this one is up and down now instead of left and right. So that might help me later or may not help me later depending on how things go. All right, so he used that, he used that. I'm going to explore up here. Oh, that's cool. That's still another open doorway and allows me to travel this way, which is pretty useful when I need to start getting back to some of the stuff over here. I'm going to keep going with the engineer because I don't know how much is a third. We're getting closer and closer. All right, there's a lock door with another person in there. Now we could rotate that, but that would block off this. If I rotate that way, this lock door is down here, which is already locked, but it would mean I'd be going right through this door instead of up through that door. What does that mean for the robot? It doesn't mean anything for the robot. Okay, let's do that. So these 2 tiles rotate this way. And I am in this one up here, standing up like that. Like that. I guess the color doesn't matter, but I realized this one should have been a tan person. That means now they can access this way, which means potentially we can connect back into here and or here, which is a good thing to have happen. So let's say we're exploring up with the Android this time. And that is a locked door, but we do have another gear rotation. We do have another person to save. All right. Then I'm exploring to the right with this person because we may be able to rotate things using the Android if that person finds themselves in a bad situation. All right, another locked door, which is not a great thing because that means we can't go back in there. But we do now have this up and down movement possibility. It also means now the Android is blocked off from that person, unless I rotate things. But rotating things right now does not really help in any meaningful way. It might later when we start exploring more. So I'm going to move to the right with the engineer. All right, that's nice. Now we're connected again. So I move into there. We're all connected together, but we're sort of out of exploration possibilities. And I'd rather not go up more if possible. So what we're going to do is, it's going to be a little tricky to do, but we're going to rotate these 4 tiles like this. No, sorry, I can't do that. I can. The robot comes into this room, and now he's activating that one, And we rotate this once in this direction. Now, I don't know if that was a good decision or a bad decision, but what that does mean now is that I'm at least working in the direction of that start space. It also means I'm not going off camera, which is good. And I will have, the engineer come up here and explore to the right. All right, well, that's a dead end, which would signal the end of the game, except we can manipulate things to make that no longer be a dead end. And we can do that in two ways. I could rotate this center piece, but that locks him in and I'm stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move here and activate this linear one, or this moving through the row gear to move over here. And again, when this moves over, it moves everything over one space like this. So that goes there. This is here now. Means I am connected back into this spot, and also it means I can explore out this way, which is good. So they are going to explore to the right. All right, we got a double gear. They're over there, which means we can still make use of that to move again if needed to get out of there somewhere. Right now, right now this android is trapped. But you'll see later on that that might not be the case. And again, we don't care about the android being able to escape. And we're not both locked. Right? As long as one of us can move, they could always potentially save the other one later in the game, so that's fine. I'm going to continue exploring here to the right. Yes. Sorry, there should be a guard in that room that I forgot to place out. And again, I'm exploring out here to the right. Okay, not bad. I'm a little bit scared that we're going to get ourselves stuck, because there's only one path to go. If we hit a dead end, we could be in trouble. So, let me think about this for a second. We can rotate this, we can rotate this. Where do I want to end up? I could spin this so we have it down. I could spin these, which would give me an up and an over, or a down and an over. Yeah, let's just push on and hope we don't get in trouble. We're exploring down, which is a lock door. Does place out another meeple guy. Means we are sort of disconnected again, but let's see if we can sort of find our way back into civilization. We are exploring down again. All right, that's an open door. I'm going to go down here. Now, the cool thing about this, and right now it's not cool because there's not much we can do because we're only sort of stuck here. But this linear gear, despite being very far away, controls this whole bottom row. So we can slide these anywhere we want to slide them, which is kind of cool. Because if we have something with a down exit here, I could slide all the way over here to connect those two into what I need to connect into to save those people before I need to get back out here. All right, then we are going to explore to the right. All right, we're still safe, but it doesn't really help me much because we're going to build this sort of loop, and that's a dead end. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit worried because I am closing myself in. But there's not much I can do right now. So I am going to explore up and cross my fingers for something helpful. All right, sweet. We found the control room. And he has to move in there, means the control room is active. So from this point, we need to get back to the exit with at least my engineer. Also the android, if possible, would be nice, but it's not the end of the world if they can't get in there. Now, the interesting thing that happens here now is the mechanical beast is going to start collapsing. Now also we need to remember that somewhere in the bottom third of this deck is going to be the lockdown room. And if I hit the lockdown room, I can no longer explore. It means I can no longer add new rooms to the map as I'm exploring or as I'm escaping out of the beast. But what the escape means is this. Not only do I need to get here, but now the mechanical beast is going to start collapsing. And what that means is anytime we move out of a room, at the end of that turn, wherever we end up, we're going to look at the first tile that we left, and whatever the arrow shows on that tile gets removed, and all of the other tiles in that row or column will move in the direction of that arrow. So for example, right now, if I moved into this room, this tile would be removed. And because this arrow is an up arrow, then this tile will move up one space, like that. So with that said, let's see what we want to do. Also, I told you that we need to save all of the people on the way out. And the way that's going to happen is anytime we leave a room that has people and that room gets removed from the board, we're going to count those people as having been saved. So basically, we need to make sure that we go through all of the room with people, making those rooms collapse, and therefore getting us out of there. So I can think about how we want to do this to get out. And I want to start by trying to get this android untrapped. So if the android moves up here, we've saved this one, this tile goes away, and the arrow's pointing up, which means this tile gets removed, and these two slide up like that. So now he's got a nice route to get back into some of these other tiles, which is pretty helpful. Then, I don't know how we're going to get into this one. We'll figure that out later. But, just like that. But then I'm stuck. Hold on. I could move into here, which would slide that tile there, which gets me back into that tile. But then I can't, then I might be able to rotate something. The other option is I move down here, but that's going to pull that in and I can't get in. So let's try this. I'm going to move here, and then my turn, which means I've saved this guy. This comes off the board, and this room slides into this spot like that. And then I will move back into here, ending my turn, removing that tile. And this one will slide, whoops, just so you can see, that was the tile I removed. The arrow is pointing to the right, so that will slide right there. It's worth mentioning also that the exit room can be entered and left during this process, and this will never ever collapse. That room is a permanent room. Also, if we ever have two of our figures together in a space and one person leaves, there's still somebody in that space, so it doesn't collapse. It will only collapse if it's empty and there's nobody in there after you've moved out. Then, we're actually in a not so bad situation because I'm going to activate that spot right there and rotate this into this position like this, and so that goes back into that hole like that, because what that means now is I am able to get to the exit if needed. Okay, then I am going to take my engineer move here, which collapses that room, and this slides back up here. Then down here, which saves that person, this goes away with a down arrow. So this slides down like that. Ooh, this is a great idea. All right, so we're gonna take our next turn activating this linear gear, and we're gonna slide this all the way down here. because then I'm going to move to that spot. This goes away with a down arrow. So this slides down like that. Which means, hold on, I need to be careful because if I move here and this goes down, that arrow points to the right, means this whole thing slides to the right, and this guy loses his access to the exit. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. So let me do this first. That gets saved. This goes out with a left arrow. Means this one slides to the left. And this one also, it's the same row, everything to that side also slides to the left like that. All right, now we can start playing around a little bit. I'm kind of worried that I can't get into this stuff over here, but we'll get there. All right, so I'm gonna move the engineer down and let's see what happens. This tile goes away, means this entire row slides one space that way. Okay, then, it doesn't matter which way I go out of this room yet. It might. Do I want to rotate? Yes. All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna activate this gear, rotating around this way, to put that in that hole right there. Because if I do that, and I go this way, this is all gonna slide over one more, and I may be able to use this to get him out of that hole. Let's see what happens. Exploring to the right. All right, there is an empty door there, which is great, but there is no empty door on the other side, which is less great, but that's okay. So we're gonna we have to step into there, means this one gets saved. This tile goes away, and this slides over one more, like that. Okay, then, that's less exciting. Yeah. I guess I'm going down. There's nothing over here to manipulate. There could be. If I send him there, that does a couple of things. Yeah. All right. He goes there and activates that thing, which means this goes where that is, and that slides over like that. And that's actually going to work out perfectly, because watch this. The engineer moves to the exit, which removes this tile, and slides this whole row over like that. Yes. Then, I don't know that I want to do this, but then the AI, or the Android, comes back into here, removing, hold on, does it? I don't know. Yeah, sure. Back into here, removing that tile. They slide over one more like that. Now's the problem, is now I need to figure out how to get all of these guys and come back here. And I don't know that that's going to happen real easily, but let's see what happens. I'm going to do some exploring with the Android, actually, because he can clear all that stuff, not make it back, and we still win. That's a little bit mean, but it works. All right, so the Android goes here, and I don't want this moving anywhere yet. So I'm going to explore up with the person. And good, it's an open door. Ooh, and it's going up. That's interesting. Because now the engineer, just explored that way. Means I can use that to go up and down as needed, but none of these have doors that connect to this yet. Yeah, and I think instead what I'm going to do is engineers I don't like that. Yeah, that's fine. Engineering is exploring up. Yeah, that's what I was worried of. It's a dead door. But by doing that, this goes away, and these slide up. Now you'll notice that was a locked door room, but because we've already activated the control center, there are no people being added any longer, so that stays like that. Now, just so we can keep things consolidated, Android moves back there, takes this slides back down like that. Oops. If I leave this out the top, this is going to slide up and I can connect into whatever's there. So let's do that. Engineer explores up. It's another locked door, which is not great, but this goes away. Means this comes up like this. But this could be okay, because I could explore here and potentially connect into some things and start pulling things in this way. So we're going to explore left. And it is a dead end, which isn't great, but let's see what happens. That goes this way, this goes away, and this slides up like that. Ah, this is awesome. Okay, because now the engineer moves here, that goes away, and now we are connected to everything. So that slides there, and we are all kinds of connected up, which is really good. Means then I'm going to do this. He moves down and takes no action. Then moves back up again to remove that tile, and everything in this row slides to the right. So this tile is going to slide into that hole right there. And these two are going to slide over one like that. Which is really cool, because Android moves there and activates this, which is going to move to the end of this, which means these two slide down into those two holes, and that one is there. The Android left the exit room, so that doesn't change anything. Then this is a down, which is fine with me, because there's nothing here to move. So he's going to move there. That gets saved. This goes away and nothing changes. Now he's going to explore down, because it's going to move up when this tile goes away, and if there's a left side door, I can get into that room. So let's see what happens. There's not. That's a little bit of a problem. Okay, that goes there. This goes away, and that slides up like that. We can do the same thing now, because that's a down arrow, so we're exploring up, and that's a much better situation. Okay, so we explore up. This goes away, means this slides down like that. Cool. Because now he moves here, that goes away and slides up, but there's nothing to slide up. Then, if I rotate this twice, it goes there and there. Perfect. Standing that up because I activated that. And they can move into here, which saves that person, removes that one. There's nothing up here to slide down, so that's fine. But now the AI is a little bit trapped, kind of. Then I want to, no, that doesn't help. The AI can get itself lost out here. Let's wait. I'm going to activate this to rotate that way, like that. Which means the engineer on its next turn can go there. This goes away, but nothing happens. I'm trying to make it down here to these pieces. So I am going to explore down. which doesn't do any good at the moment. But lets me move these things anywhere I want to. So I think what's going to happen is I'm going to move these over. I don't know where to do it. Let's move over here. Yeah, we're going to put them there. And now the android's back on. The android's exploring to the left, which is a dead-end room, which isn't the end of the world yet, though, because this goes away and everything up here slides down, which there isn't any. And now the android explores back that way. Moving here, this goes away and everything slides one space that way. Which is a little bit of a problem now for the engineer because they can't get home. But that's okay, we'll figure that out later. Android goes left, which pulls that, and this slides over. That's not great, they're going up now. All right, then the engineer is going to explore up. Okay, which does that. This goes away and slides down one space, which is potentially interesting. Yeah, it's silly, but I'm just going to do that to connect back into there. Then let's go see if we can save the android. I'm going to move there and explore down. Unfortunately, that doesn't help. The android, that goes down. These slide up, which traps me again. But I go down here, that goes away and slide down nothing. I need to get to this guy somehow. All right, I'm going to the left, which is another locked door. But I saved this guy, and this slides up, but there's nothing there. I mean, I could keep manipulating. The problem is eventually I might get to a position where I am in trouble. Ooh, okay, let's do this. I'm going to activate that to move this like that. And then, on my next turn, they move here, which takes that away and slides this one over one. And then I can activate this, sliding this over one, which would swap that, and then over one, which would swap that like this. Okay, we're getting closer. I still don't know how I'm getting here. All right, well, the android's going to explore to the right, which does that, puts me here, gets rid of that, and slides everything one spot this way. Okay. Then the android moves here, that goes away, and nothing changes. Oh, okay. Android goes here, does that, and rotates this like that. Android comes here, that goes away. Engineer goes there, engineer goes there, engineer comes back up there, that goes away. Hold on, no. Let's do that again. Robot comes here, robot comes here. Robot's going to the left, this way, through a glass door. That goes away. This slides over. Rotation could potentially be cool. Yeah. Android spins this like that. He moves there, and this slides up. He moves down for this, nothing happens. Moves back to the exit, that's gone. Now, officially I've won the game right there, but we haven't lost yet. So I'm going to be greedy and do my best to try and get the Android out with me. So Android's exploring, hold on. Yeah, he can't rotate that. Android's exploring down, which means that goes away and nothing happens. Android's exploring up, which means that goes away, but that slides down one. Android's exploring left. Oh, this is the first time we've seen this gear, but it's not going to matter at this point. The way that this gear would have worked is this is connected to the 4 adjacent rooms. When this rotates in one direction like this, the outer rooms rotate in the opposite direction. So all 4 of these spin while that spins in the other direction. But you're not going to get to see that happen here. Although, yeah, I am going to rotate it just so that I can have an opening that way. The arrow's pointing up. So if I can get something here that has a connection, we may have done it. Android explores up. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So the Android steps into that room like that. This goes away and moves up. Nothing happens. The Android then changes location with that room by activating that. They then step into the exit. This slides up, but who cares? I did it. They both got out. We saved all the people. And not only that, I finished with a sort of perfect end game. All of the tiles aside from the exit are gone. I think that's a pretty cool way to end the game. All right, with that, let's get into talking a little bit about the components. The tiles you've seen, I think they do a more than functional job at sort of showing what everything is, explaining how everything works. The gears are all pretty self-evident how they work, especially with the very nice, whoops, that's upside down, very nice player aids that come with the game. This explains exactly how all of the different gears work, which is really, really cool, and also explains how the collapsing works at the end of the game. So these are super helpful to have. I'm very happy to see those in the game. The other things that come with the game are these little meeples. You can see that they are all screen printed with little features. Now, you saw while I was playing through that the tiles with the locked doors are marked with specific colored meeples. Realistically, there's no real reason for that to happen. I guess thematically it's cool. It's nice to have the different colors and the different variety, but it is a little bit overkill or overdone, but who cares, right? I like wooden bits. These are all different colors and different designs, so yay, it's cool to have them in the game. Same thing with the player pieces. There are 4 different colors, red, blue, yellow, and green. And what I really want to point out here, because I think this is really cool, and let me bring the Android up just so you can see it a little bit better. Every player color is available in 2 different versions, sort of a male and female version. So it does add to quite a bit to the representation in the game and does allow you to choose a character that sort of fits you personally for the game, and I applaud them for that. That's a really, really cool addition to the game. The only other thing that's in this game is the tile tower that I showed you. This does disassemble fairly easy to fit back into the box. It's not a bad little tower. It looks cool. I like the design of it. Oops, hold on just a second. One-handed is not easy. I like the design of it, the sort of printed giant robot, mechanical beast on the tower is pretty cool. It's very sturdy, it holds up nicely. The only small complaint I have, I don't know if you can see this real well on camera, the side pieces don't go all the way down to the bottom of the tower. And what that means is when it's standing, it leans a little bit forward, which isn't really bad. I haven't had the tiles all fall out, but it does make things a little bit potentially hazardous that the tiles could fall out if the thing leans forward a little bit too far. As far as the insert goes in this box, that's it. There was a little white insert in there. I took it out. It was just a small piece of cardboard in there. But realistically, I like this because the tiles, if you put them into 6 different piles like this, and I'm not going to put them all in, I just want you to show you how they fit in. 6 piles like this, they will stack up. There are exactly a multiple of 6 tiles in the game, so they will fill up perfectly. And then the player guide fits sort of exactly perfectly over those 6 to sort of lock them into the place where they are. All of the meeples and pieces fit along the outside edge of this box, and then the rule sits right on top. Now, will that work standing up? I'm not sure because I haven't stored this one standing up yet. It is a small box, so it fits a little bit easier on your shelf, whether it's standing up or laying flat. But the tiles, as I mentioned, do fit perfectly in like that to 6 stacks with the perfect shaped or sized player guide that sits right on top of them like that. So would it be nice to have an insert? Maybe, but then the tiles may not all fit in the box because this is a pretty small box and it does fit the components fairly perfectly as is. With all that said, meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. This is one that was getting a whole lot of buzz in the solo community, especially after having won that spot in the 2019 PNP contest. And this is one that I've been wanting to try for a while. I never had a chance to print out the original PNP version of this game, and I didn't really have a chance to try it out until I was lucky enough to reach out to Sideroom Games and snag a review copy of this game. So now that I've done that, with all this buzz that I've heard, how do I feel about the game? This one, I'm going to say, is a little bit of a mixed bag for me, and not because I don't enjoy the game. Let's get into sort of what I think about the game or how I feel about this game. First off, if you've seen me in any of my other videos, I definitely love a solo puzzler game. So there is definitely a puzzle here that I definitely really do enjoy in this game. As far as placing out the tiles, thinking about where I'm going, manipulating the tiles to make pathways to get myself through the mechanical beast, to get to the control room, and then ultimately to free the people, get out of the mechanical beast before it all comes crashing down. If you've seen some of my other videos, I also covered a game called Subterra, which is also a sort of tile-laying exploration game where you're trying to find the exit and get out. And this shares a little bit of a common thread with that in the way that you're placing tiles and moving through and always sort of thinking about the risks of the path that you're taking. But this one adds in that extra layer of manipulating the tiles, rotating tiles, sliding tiles, and then halfway through the game, the idea of these collapsing tiles. And this manipulation of this spatial puzzle is something that I should definitely really enjoy. And don't get me wrong, I really, really do enjoy that puzzle. This idea of where do I explore? How far do I separate my engineer from my android without being worried that one of them is going to get trapped and won't be able to be saved by the other one, triggering the end of the game? There's this whole thought about when do I manipulate things? When do I rotate things? Do I try and set up a nice pathway before I trigger the control room? Do I just sort of let everything happen until I hit the control room and then do my best to sort of pick up the pieces afterwards? And there's a whole lot of interesting here. Before I say good or bad, interesting, meaning the design of this game is very, very clever. The design of the puzzles in this game is very, very clever. If you like a clever puzzle, you will enjoy this game because just the different levels of manipulation. You've got the gear that slides the sort of tiles in the next row or column, depending on how it's oriented, up and down or left and right, shifting whole rows. You've got the gear that rotates in the middle, that rotates the opposite direction the 4 rooms adjacent to it. You've got those sort of spiral gears that shoot you through one level or one column or one row, sort of changing your location, your position within that row or column. And you've also got the gear, in the corners that rotates the 4 tiles together as a cluster. And it is the sort of intricate workings of these within each other and within the way that they're being placed, as far as doors that are locked that won't allow you to go back, that you have to sort of rotate and change things to find doors that connect to other doors. And this sort of interconnectedness of how these gears work, not only by themselves, but with other gears together, is sort of in harmony, really, really does shine as a clever puzzle. So why do I hesitate in saying I love this game? And it's because of sort of the way that the rest of the game plays out around the mechanisms. And that means it may be that I'm not great at the game. It may be that I'm playing on the easy levels. I should say that the easiest level is really, really easy, and I basically have won every time I played. Normal is sort of a toss-up because you can't use the emergency exit. You do have to get back to that starting spot. And again, we didn't get there in this video, but if we hit that lockdown tile, which we were getting pretty close to doing, I wouldn't have been able to explore anymore. So I would have had to have a path pre-built, or I would have been stuck. So I haven't played it on any level harder than normal, and maybe that's my mistake, and I should play it on harder levels, and then I will have to pay more attention to the puzzle, but we'll get back to that in just a second. But for me, playing on easy and playing on normal, which is how I play most of the time, it really does feel like I don't have to pay too much attention to what I'm doing before I get to the control room, so long as I don't completely isolate myself and end the game because I don't have any options to move any longer, right? I do have to make sure that at some point I switch to moving the engineer more so that they find the control room, since the android can't activate the control room. But beyond that, I do my best a little bit to keep things as connected as possible, but I don't feel like I really have to pay that much attention to it, because once the control room is activated and things start collapsing, then it's a fun puzzle of how do I make these collapses happen to sort of move the map in certain ways to get me to places, to get all of those people before I get back to the exit and get out. And there is some luck to the draw that if I pull the right tile, it makes it easy. If I pull the wrong tile, it makes it harder. That in this game is a little bit of a problem, but it's not a huge problem. But there's also this feeling like, yeah, there's never really a point where I am hit with, this is a puzzle that you need to solve. It's sort of like, this is constantly an ongoing, evolving puzzle that's constantly changing, and there isn't really a right way or a wrong way as long as you're smart about the decisions that you're making. Now, there are still decisions, and you do still have to be smart about those decisions, but there's never a, this is the puzzle that you're solving kind of feeling for me. And I feel a little bit something not quite there for me with this game because of that. Now, I still really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm definitely constantly making decisions that I feel make sense. I do still really cherish and celebrate the moments when things end up working and connecting in great ways, and you do get that great sort of rush at the end. The playthrough you just watched me play, I think, turned out really well, and that was a very exciting play because I had things separated real far away on the map, and I was able to sort of pull everything back together and actually finish with a single tile at the end of the game, which turned out really, really, really cool. So there's definitely a lot of fun moments in the game. The mechanisms are very clever and very fun to manipulate, and there is a puzzle that's fun to work through, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm solving this puzzle, and I don't necessarily feel like I was smart enough to have solved this puzzle. So ultimately, there's a little bit lacking for me, but I enjoy every play that I've played, and I enjoy the steps that I'm taking as I play this game. So this is absolutely a game that I would play anytime somebody asks me if I'd like to play it, but it might not be a game that comes off of the shelf more often than something else that offers me something a little bit different than what this one does. Now again, I did say that there are some more difficulty levels that I haven't had a chance to try, so adding more difficulty to this game might end up making it a little bit better for me, but at the same time, I don't want a puzzle that's so incredibly difficult and says, there's one way to solve this, figure it out. That's too much for me as well, because then it sort of just crushes me with, you can't do this unless you figure out the way to solve this puzzle. So I do like this game as a more relaxed, play with the mechanisms, turn the gears, think a little bit about what you're doing, plan a little bit, deal with the consequences. There's some nice tactical decision here as the randomness is presented to you and you do your best to try and deal with it. So as long as you're coming at this game as a more relaxed, lighter puzzle that it's likely you're going to win, and you're just playing it because the mechanisms are clever, the puzzle is fun to play around with, and you like that kind of a more relaxed solo experience, definitely check this one out because it's there. If I do have to mention any other negatives about this game, it is definitely a fiddly one with all of those little meeple that you're rescuing as you go through. All of these tiles on the table that you're rotating and sliding and moving around. If you're playing this on a normal smooth surface, you have to be really careful that you don't bump things, because remember, you're also moving through empty space sometimes, so it really does matter where that tile is if you're shifting things around to get back to that tile. The game mat that you just saw me play this playthrough on is a nice sticky surface. I actually did a review for it if you want to check it out on my channel, but that one works really well for this game. As you saw in the playthrough, I'm able to sort of lock the tiles into the table and then shift other tiles around them without causing any real problems. But again, when I did play this game on a normal surface, it was a little bit fiddly, making sure that everything stayed exactly where it needed to stay so that I could reconnect to things later in the game. That said, it doesn't break the experience. This is still a whole lot of fun. If you like tile laying, if you like spatial puzzlers, if you like the sort of manipulation of a tile display, definitely give this one a look. It is definitely a lot of fun to pull out and just play as a lighthearted, puzzly experience, and I definitely do recommend that it's worth checking out at the very least. If you enjoyed this video, as always, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.